Alrighty. Hi. Good morning. Good morning, social media. Good morning, LinkedIn, YouTube, all of the places. Good morning. If you are scrolling by and you want to talk about how cuckoo our heads are, I would love for you to stop in and chat with me. I have a couple of stories that I wanted to that I've been thinking about this morning. And yesterday I said I'm going to treat social media as my therapy, as my therapist this year, as a way to just hop on and be so me that I don't even really care who's out there in the ethos. And that's really because we care so much about what we look like on the outside and in the outside world. And so I'm like, why don't I use social media the way that I want to use social media, which is like just be me and see who wants to come in and be themselves with me. Um, and s- and and so today I was like, what's going on in my head? And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if my head is as cuckoo, and did I spell cuckoo right? As cuckoo as everybody else's head. And there were a couple of things that just kept populating in my head this morning as I was doing my morning meditation. Do you guys do morning rituals? I have this morning ritual that every single day, because my kids are grown and they don't require me anymore unless, something. Every morning, I start my morning with this sacred morning where I am protecting what I like to call the mothership. It does not do anything about my crazy brain. That we'll get into that in a minute. Um, but I start my mornings with a couple of books. I'm pointing over there because that's my little chair that I sit in. And I read my couple books and I do some meditation and then I start my day. Look at these. Aren't these the cutest things ever? So I have this like major I wouldn't say addiction, but I have this like I just love Buc-ee's. Are you guys familiar with Buc-ee's? Have you guys ever been to Buc-ee's? Buc-ee's is the coolest giant gas station you'd ever want to go to. Like my friend Erin would never want to go there. But it is definitely, and that's what I'm playing with right now. Um, so stop, and I have my chat open and come and talk to me and listen to my little I'm using social media as therapy this year, and why I'm doing that is because I feel like it. Um and I feel like that because I see so many people out there trying to get their social media perfect, and everyone's trying to get their social media perfect and grow their audience and do all these things where they think that if they do it perfectly on social media, then they're going to grow their business to numbers that are infinity. And the reality is, social media is a place where people can just get to know you. That's the reality of it. And so how I want to use social media is that I want you guys to just actually get to know me. And I want to get to know you. And I also am just going to dump my head. I used to have a podcast, which was called the Women Who Soar podcast. And I did it very similarly. I didn't make it so posy and so glammed up. I just was me. So here's what's happening in my little brain this morning, that I titled it like as your brain is cuckoo as my brain. Um, and I'm looking over here because I made notes of the things that were going on in my head. And one of the things that was just why, like the word why. Why do we use why so much? Like why do like it is a complain mechanism for me. So if I'm asking the word why, like why am I this and why am I that and why am I that, it is like that word why we need to I need to eliminate the word why completely from my vocabulary because it gets me nowhere into a solution ever. All it does is get me into some complainy, no solution. Why me? Why? Well, why not? Like, why not you? So, no matter, like, I asked myself this morning, why? I asked myself, why are my clients so terrified of being visible? And I'm like, why are we even asking that question? The question is not about the why. The question is why are we labeling our thoughts and our feelings and our actions that we have to know the answer, we have to know a solution, we have to know the why before we do. Ah, we have to know the why before we do. And my head says that. Oh, I have to know why before I can do it. But only in areas that I'm actually afraid of. Only in areas that I'm actually afraid of. If there's areas that I'm confident in, plug me in, right? Plug me in. I can do it. But if I am like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna ask the why and try to dig and find an answer before I'm gonna do. And what I submit to everyone today as you're listening to I'm using social media as therapy today, is that I don't need to know why. I don't need to know why. I talked about yesterday, my mom had multiple sclerosis. And if she would have woken up every single day asking herself, why do I have multiple sclerosis? She would have never had actual quality of life, right? I'm going to send a little note in here. Hey, y'all, it's off your skull. Um, okay. I spelled it wrong. That's okay. I'll fix it later. See? So instead of why, I was like, okay, why don't I think about why? Why don't I think about the situations in my life where I've asked myself why and then what has happened? So, like, why my mom got multiple sclerosis. Instead of asking myself why she got so sick, I stepped in and I took action and we were together for all those years and we worked together in action so she could have quality of life. Why why did somehow I end up the alcoholic, now recovering alcoholic? Why did that happen to me? Instead of asking why, I never ask why. Instead, it is all about what's the solution? How do I stay sober? How do I do the thing? Instead of asking why. So I wonder if you're asking why in your life right now and what those whys might be, and if you're feeling a little like a victim because you're asking so many whys. And can you shove why out and replace it with what would the action be? So sometimes, like when I work with clients and I'm thinking about myself, of clients and myself, I look at, I skip completely. I have to skip my thought and my feeling, and I have to go straight to action so I can have a new belief. All right. So this is like 100% of the time, 100% of the time, there has not been one time in my relationships with other women where a woman has looked at me or I have looked at them and said, you know what, I have 100% security. I feel 100% secure. And I'm going like this, like, protect me, right? And especially secure in money, secure in my bank account. And so isn't it wild? It's wild to me. Like my cuckoo brain is like, no matter what, like it's so cuckoo to me. Um when I was working at the bank making really good money, when I lost my job, knowing that I had all these skills and credentials, I still was terrified that I was going to be homeless. My thought and my feeling when I lost my job, even though I was fine, financially fine, I still was afraid I was gonna be homeless. So this word that we think and feel scarcity, the opposite of scarcity is abundance. And I don't care who you are, we do not 100% of the time live in abundance. We have these thoughts and these feelings that creep up and they cause scarcity. No matter who I'm talking to, that's a woman. We fall into this. And instead of saying how, solution, we say why. And we start to think more and feel more. And sometimes I have to skip the knowing the why or the thought or the feeling, and I have to skip completely to the action, even though I may not know how. Even though I may not know how. And that's what my cuckoo brain was telling me this morning. The last thing that it was talking about was, I'm really into I just finished 2 books. What did you guys read the end of the year? Why do we read so much at the end of the year? Um, why do we do that? Why do I Oh my god, I just asked why. Like, who cares? So, I just finished 2 books. The, One of them was all about what does God want you to be. It's called Perfectly Yourself with Matthew Kelly is the author. It's called Perfectly Yourself. I just said that. And it is all about who does God want you to be. And if you're if you have an idea or you are a business owner, when I think about like who does God want me to be, honestly, it doesn't really have anything to do with the level of success that I have. It does, however, have a lot to do with my character. So I've been reading a lot about character inside Perfectly Yourself. And then next to it, I've been reading The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And that is all about how do you scale your business with an impossible goal. And I put those two together and I'm like, okay, how do I take both of these philosophies and curriculum and tie them together going into 2026? And I think I know this is crazy. I think my impossible goal I've set goals for so long and I'm not sure yet. We'll find out through the action. But think my impossible goal this year is to not 100% rely on myself for self-sufficiency, but to know that if I just finished this book perfectly. If if I really want to be the character that my source, my higher power wants me to be, then I'm gonna have to let them do that versus me running the show. Cuckoo brain. And that might be my impossible goal. I thought my impossible goal was getting 300 women entrepreneurs to the Heart Cell Signature Summit in May, which I've been told is not an impossible goal, but I feel like it might be an impossible goal. We'll see. Did I talk about credentials and character yet? I think I'll say that for tomorrow. I have all this stuff going on and in my head, and I'm bringing it to all of you, and I want your feedback, your opinions, your uh-huhs, your no-nos, um, and I want you to get visible the same way. Like, visibility doesn't have to be that scary. We can just be ourselves online in front of the world, and it's okay. You know, when I wrote The Heart Cell, I wrote about showing up authentically as yourself. And we don't do that, especially online. We show up with our credentials and we show up pristine and we show up all the things that we're actually not. And I ask that you show up as you with me at least, because that's who I want to get to know. All right. See you when I decide to come back. Have a wonderful day, everyone.